is born on December 25th.
Now, in the real world, let's clarify something for a lot of people who are listening out there. You're not talking anything about Christmas. You're not talking about what Christians traditionally recognize as,
I'm getting
as the birth of Christ. You're getting into the symbolism of the ancient religion of the sun, which was later perverted in Christianity to reflect this in order to capture the pagan worshippers into the Christian church.
Absolutely, right. Now, what I'm saying is that
because December the 25th is not Christ's birthday.
No, not at all. No, it's the birthday of the sun.
Right.
And then, but then when you understand that this symbolism began to be, the ancient peoples understood that the sun was revolved, and it was a symbol of revolution. And today in America we have, or at least in the western part of the United States, we have an oil company called Union Oil. Union Oil has as a symbol a round orange globe with the 76, and of course the commercial says, get the spirit of 76. The orange globe is a sun, because the communists have always used the rising sun. You know, if you recall, on the Soviet National Coat of Arms,
certainly,
is the rising sun that's bringing the dawn of a new day.
And the symbology of 76 plugs into what's called the
76, and the 13, 76 is 13.
Right, and the order of the trapezoid. And if you figure out the formula of the ancient religion, which says, as above, so below, the creation of this country in 1776 was guaranteed to bring into the world the new man, the illumined man, 3 degrees of 6 acts, or 666.
Right. And 8 is the number in the old Kabbalistic Freemasonry in Europe. 8 was the number of new beginnings. And the new beginnings, was 17, is 7 and 1, 8. And 13 was, of course, the old mystic number of God and His 12 helpers of God in His 12 months make 13. Mm-hmm. And so...
it's also the number of death and rebirth, or resurrection, or reincarnation, depending upon how you look at that. But
so once you get into all of the symbolism, you see that there is a rhyme and a reason to all of these emblems and symbols. And something else in relation to word symbols, and God knows we're inundated by innuendos and catchphrases in this country especially. We've been hearing since George Bush made it publicly known, something called the New World Order. I want to clarify something for your audience. They probably might already know this, but Europe has been referred to as the Old World, and anything coming out of Europe is Old World, all right? The Vatican has dominated Europe for about 1,500, 1,600 years. The Vatican has dominated Europe. Europe has dominated the world. There was a religio-political, economic scheme of things. That was the order of the day. The old banking houses of the Roman Empire, the old, what was some of the families? Arius, Copernicus, Pisos. The Pisos family were a very powerful banking family who were the main brains behind. They were the Rockefellers of the Roman Empire.
The Medicis.
The Medicis, absolutely. And so when you understand that there was a banking, fraternal, religio-political order that operated throughout the world, and the Vatican sat on top of that, and that was an old world order. Now, with the coming of America, of course, America is referred to as the New World, and so what we have now is a New World Order. And that New World Order implies that there is a fraternal order operating throughout the world, operating out of America, that seeks to, it seeks to take the place of the old world order and bring a new order of the world. But you must understand that you cannot have a new order or a new building on the same site as an old building. So you've got to get rid of the old order first and bring in the new order. When you get into that, and I'm sorry, I'm got a frog in my throat.
That's okay.
When you get into that, you get into the symbolism Steven Spielberg and George Lucas bring out about Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And of course you can't understand the Last Crusade if you don't understand the First Crusade, right?
Or the next crusade.
Or the next crusade, which is the real crusade, right? And then from there you get the trilogy of Star Wars, and then the Empire Strikes Back. And of course New York is referred to as the Empire State.
That's correct.
All right, and so you get the Empire Strikes Back, and then of course you might know this, that in Freemasonry there is a little ideologue or a little genie-like mystical character, supposedly in Freemasonry, that they said was their mediator between the gods and the Freemasons of the Knights Templars. And that little saint, or that little, what would I say, mediator, in the old Knights Templar tradition was a little short, little monster with pointed ears, and his name was Yoda. And you go into the old Masonic literature and pictures, and you'll see pictures of Yoda, because he was a Jedi Knight. And if you understand the Jedi Knights, where it was connected to the old order of the knightshood of the Knights Templars. So what we're talking about here is the Star Wars. We're talking about a spiritual war in the heavens, so to speak.
Well, this was a cosmology, a celestial religion, so to speak.
Absolutely.
They talk about moving on to the celestial sphere.
Right.
When they discuss passing.
That right. And then, of course, the sun was, well, the ancient Egyptians said that the sun walked across the sky, so therefore we have Luke Skywalker.
And then from this comes 1,000 points of light.
That's 1,000 points of light, and a 1,000-year reign of the Nazi Empire, or whatever. And what we're talking about here is secret societies and their use of symbols and emblems in religion and politics and philosophy. And incidentally, when you graduate from university, I meant to bring this out. When you graduate from university, you wear a long black robe. The black robe is, of course, the same black robe that the priest wears. Mm-hmm. It's the same black robe that the judge wears. All right, because the black robe symbolized it goes back to the old Saturnalian cult, which was pre-Egyptian, the worship of Saturn. And according to that ancient Semitic cult, when you got married, you wear the ring. The ring was the ring of Saturn. The women would show their submission to that god by wearing the ear ring. That's where we get the idea of the king being crowned. He wears the round crown or the round circle of the god of Saturn. Saturn, as I said, was assigned the color black, and therefore the black robe is a worship of Saturn, the Saturnalian god. What was I going to say about? Oh yes, and when you graduate with a square mortarboard. The square mortarboard is always the symbol of the brick masons use the mortarboard. And then, of course, when you graduate, you are referred to as an alumni, which comes from the word illumini. You have been illuminated, which basically means you now know what to kiss and when, and how to think and what to think, and how to act, and you have been properly educated.
You belong to the priesthood.
That's right. You belong to the priesthood, and if you go along to get along, and don't cause any problems, then you
go along to get along. You might get a little, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Nobody else gets anything.
And my point is, and I have said this to so many audiences, that there is this country, the United States, has no real enemies in the world. After the Second World War, especially, is that true?
Well, every enemy, even before the Second World War, the enemies that we've had have been creation.
That's right.
We
created them. Absolutely. But there is one legitimate, believable enemy that faces America, that the powers behind the throne in this country, in America, are truly afraid of. And this is legitimate. They are totally frightened to death of us, the people, because they realize if the people ever wake up, I mean, something that Joe Kennedy was quoted as saying, something to the effect of beware the American conscience, because if they ever wake up and find out what we're doing, it's going to be hell to play. And so I believe that there is a legitimate enemy that this country perceives, and that's us. People who think too much, people who read too much, and people who talk too much.
But that's always the case, though, Jordan, because we know that what's coming is going to be a socialist state.
Oh, totally.
Every time socialism has won anywhere, the first thing that they've done is that they have literally perverted the intelligentsia, which has brought them to power. And then the first thing that they did is kill the intelligentsia. They killed them.
Absolutely.
And the intelligentsia aren't very intelligent because they haven't learned this yet, because they're still doing it. But
the more we change, the more we stay the same.
That's right. We'll come back to that in just a few minutes. Folks, I hope you're paying attention to this show, because Jordan has an awful lot to say, and you can hear that he's right in tune with what we've covered before. Don't go away. It's time to take our break. We'll be right back after this very short pause.